So we're giving this away for free. Just check the link in the video description below. Okay guys, we are on day number 2 of sales for our Fermenting Foundations course.
Hey!
Being open. This is just a once a year thing. Basically, we actually sold it twice last year, but back to back. We did a little beta sale, and then we did a larger sale. This is Anna, my little sister. Many of y'all probably remember her.
You guys probably won't see this, but I've been with the kids all day, well, the boys all day, and we had a blast. So I didn't really film much because that's, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so I just got home from the hospital. Anna's been watching the kids. She's been coming really faithfully once a week and watching the kids, which has been amazing.
So now we're putting our heads together to say, how can we help you guys out to get a clear idea of what this course involves, if it's right for you. And so I brought over these ferments that have been stashed in the back of my fridge for a year or a little less. And the kids, we had a snack of them. They were gobbling them up.
What are the dates on these ferments? You said less than a year. Are they less?
This one is 9/18. So this was almost exactly a year ago. Dilly beans. These are not crispy anymore. This goes into a question Art was answering yesterday in the video. If you caught the live or went back, it's a really, really common question we get, which is how long do they last? And can I use this to like put up food? And it totally, fermenting like began as a survival mechanism to take food from the summer and through the winter when there was no refrigerators. Mm-hmm. So it works for that.
Yeah.
And you can keep certain things like sauerkraut, other things as well, even out of the fridge in cool storage long term and have them stay safe to eat. The thing that changes over long term is it may be your desire to eat that food because of the state change that it experiences over time. Even in the things like beans, cucumbers, even in the fridge, this is a year old. The kids loved it. It still tastes great and there's nothing like dangerous about it, but it's they're a little not crispy anymore.
I'm gonna get some forks.
However, the year-old carrots, I really want you to try these.
Did you try them?
Yes, I did. Before I brought them up here, I considered throwing them in the compost, but I tried them and they were great.
We really want people to start fermenting. Honestly, whether they go through our course or not, we love people getting into it. So we just enjoy answering questions. I say that fermenting is actually the perfect preservation technique to pair with a garden. It's not a 30-year doomsday food storage bunker technique. You can't take this and just stick it anywhere for years. But if you have a garden, and honestly, I don't know what your long-term survival plan is if you don't have a garden, but if you have a garden, it pairs perfectly because it's the simplest way to actually preserve vegetables from a garden through the year. So anyway, that's my view on it. I want to try these carrots. I'm a little dubious about the carrots. Carrots aren't my favorite fermented thing, but...
We'll see.
And what's the spices in this?
Oh, there's a lot in here.
So these have been sitting in a jar for basically a year. They've been in the fridge, right?
In the fridge, I mean, they fermented for a while, probably a couple months.
Yeah.
But then since, just in the fridge. These have a lot of flavor. I love using whole spices in ferments and just adding more flavor. So this is, I just write the ingredients and the date and how I calculated like how much salt's put in. Carrots, well water, fresh ginger, garlic, 2% sea salt, black cardamom, cumin seed. Black cardamom is like the unique. Cumin seed, black peppercorn, that's all.
Those are actually really good.
Yeah.
The flavor goes all the way through it. It's like I don't know what it is.
I think they're actually...
I think they're better.
There's a reason why these got pushed to the back of my fridge a year ago. They weren't that great. Probably if I pulled them out like 6 months ago, they would have been amazing. But I kind of forgot about them. And now they're really good.
They're really, really good. That is actually surprising to me.
And they're still crispy too.
What I'm expecting is, okay, it's gonna be okay. I know that, you know, if it's properly fermented.
Pulling down his pants.
Okay, well let me talk.
This is his signature move.
Did you already try a carrot stick?
Mm-hmm.
Now how are they?
Good.
Really? It's a good snack, isn't it? Maybe Anna could leave some of those with
And
us.
they're still
I will.
crunchy.
Brayton also approves.
Brighton likes them. One of the coolest things to me about fermented foods is just that it really does turn vegetables that my kids aren't really into. It turns them into things they love. Cabbage is one of those. You know, they'll eat a little raw and they'll eat it if you cook it, but they really like sauerkraut.
What do you guys think about these
What's that white stuff?
year-old dilly beans?
Cool.
The white stuff in there, that's like a little bit of yeast probably that formed before it sat in the fridge for a year. What's your favorite, Justice?
Sauerkraut.
Mm.
Any more forks?
In the kitchen. What were you asking me about sauerkraut?
How old is the sauerkraut?
It's 6 months old. It's just been chilling.
Yeah.
It didn't ferment for 6 months, but it's just been in the back of my fridge.
Good.
And so it basically makes each vegetable into something that's almost a new flavor. It's a new thing to them. So it basically, it helps add vegetables to their diet. It's honestly been awesome.
For example, afternoon snack was, this was packed full and only the 3 boys ate half of this jar and that much.
First I'm gonna try this. Then I'm gonna try. Not try them together.
They just like went straight in with forks and, you know, they
Dilly
went
beans,
to town.
year-old dilly beans. They taste good. They're actually very tasty. And they're not mushy. They are not crispy though. See? Yeah, if you saw the video we published yesterday, anime sauerkraut, that was a week ago. So today we're actually checking on at 1 week.
So I think it's been, have you touched it up
I haven't
there?
touched it at all.
It's on top of the fridge
been
and
just
it's
sitting
not
up
been
there.
touched, which is awesome. It's nice to check on your ferments, but I had a good amount of liquid up above the top of this one, and lots of space so it wouldn't overflow. So if you missed the video, this is red cabbage, green apple, like sour apples, and black peppercorns and whole cloves. Yeah, you can take those.
Did you try it? Oh, she stole the dilly beans instead of trying the sauerkraut. She's like, nah, I know what I like. It's good.
Wow.
It's acidic and sweet.
It's really good.
It's really tasty. It tastes the cloves.
Just watch out for a whole clove.
Trying to think what I would want to put this,
you want
pair
to
this
try the
with.
stuff we made last week?
Yeah, you should try it. You were eating it.
You loved it, raw.
Try how it's. Come over here and taste it and tell us how it's changed. And then you can give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You have to hold your hand higher. All right. So, summary of storage of fermented foods or fermenting vegetables for storage is that if you have a refrigerator, you can store significant amounts of time. If you are not storing in a refrigerator, you can. You're going to have some degradation. After months, you're going to have some degradation and a gradual degradation of texture in some foods. These carrots are incredible, though. So don't plan on storing fermented foods for more than 12 months, and some won't really be good after just a few.
Except for maybe sauerkraut. And
Yeah.
it'll last longer if you take care of it. And even like a root cellar fridge, they'll last a long time.
Yeah.
Other than that, the other big question that we get is about safety, like food safety and your health, and am I going to get sick from eating these? It may sound crazy, but home fermented foods are actually way safer than home canned foods. And I'm sure a lot of you all do canning at home, and you know like the rules, and if you follow the rules, you have a really good chance of not getting botulism, which you can from canned foods. The chance of getting sick from fermented foods is so minuscule that there aren't harsh safety guidelines. If you make a fermented food, the acid level is going to drop to the point where the things that could get you sick from those foods sitting at room temperature will die, like E. coli, botulism, other bacteria. They don't make it because it's so acidic.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at canning guidelines, what you see is really big warnings about what you can and how you can it, because botulism is such a risk with canning. But the crazy thing is that with fermenting, through this just natural process that happens, the bacteria on the food that you put in the jar, the bacteria that were already on these carrots, that bacteria actually produces the acid when you create the right environment, which is just an anaerobic environment, no air, and the salty environment.
They take some of the carbohydrates from the veggies, eat them, and then they kind of poop out these acid and gas. That's where you get bubbles, in an active ferment often. It's a really cool process. And you can also tell if your ferment hasn't turned acidic, often by just smelling it, because if you crack this open, it smells like pickles, like really cool, interestingly spiced pickles, but it's got that tangy smell. So in a sense, ensuring your safety is it's like you can use your senses. There's not going to be like hidden secret killers in your ferments like there can be in canned food.
Yep.
At some points.
That's absolutely true. And that's honestly backed up by the guidelines of safety organizations that deal with food safety. When you look at the guidelines they give, it's completely backed up. Because with canning, they say, do all these things or you could die, which is true. People die from botulism from canned foods. With fermenting, they basically say, yeah, you can get sick from it, but what are the guidelines? Like, wash your equipment with hot water. This is actually from one of these university fermenting guidelines. Don't ferment in trash bags. Like, use food safe containers. Wash everything. Those are the guidelines. Mm-hmm. Like, and use salt.
Yeah. And just thanks for being here with us this week.
What? Did you eat all the dilly beans? This jar was full of dilly beans.
It was like a half full, to give her credit.
This happened over and over and over again with fermented dilly beans in our life. They
That's
disappear.
Hilarious. Yeah.
They do not last. That's why you should be fermenting.
So we want to give you a resource that has to do with safety and having good quality ferments come out on the other side of your process. Whether you jump into the course with us and learn, or with us, or kind of are doing it on your own. You might have got this last year if you were around then, but we're gonna link below our troubleshooting guide that we created that talks through all the potential little issues or question marks that aren't even issues that might come up, and what they look like, what you can do, what it means, if it's an issue or not, and how to address it, basically. So we're gonna give that to all of you for your own use and enjoyment.
I think this is the best fermenting troubleshooting guide on the internet, honestly. Because we've searched, we've read a lot of stuff on the internet. Have you seen one that's better? Because
no.
we took the best ones that we could find, and we kind of compiled them and put all this in, and then added our more extended answers in. So I think it's one of the best guides on the internet.
Yeah,
it's basically, if you have this problem, what could be causing it, and what can you do about it. It's really good. So we're offering it for free.
It has 2 arms.
That's really cute.
2 sets of arms. I can see through this, by the way.
That's good. So we're giving this away for free. Just check the link in the video description below, and there's a PDF. You can just download it, and then you can use it in your fermenting journey, whether you take our course or not. But it's just an example of the cool resources, other than video, that are in the course. There's a ton of PDFs. They look really, really good.
Yeah.
Recipes for every single video, and then different resource guides as well.
Yeah, totally. I think my favorite are the resource guides that talk you through like a whole bunch of different processes for how you salt both dry salted, like sauerkraut, we put that away, and brined. It's like one sheet that talks you through the whole process, and if there's math involved, which there really isn't always, but in some of the processes, it tells you like how to do that math and gives you a formula. And it basically, to me, I wanted to create a sheet that, like, every time I would ferment, I'd be like, where is it? And I'd need to go and, like, get my notebook out and find the right page. And so I thought, everything's on the one sheet, and you could just pull this out and then take any vegetable and not need, like, a recipe. Anyway, so just, I get excited thinking about that kind of stuff and that getting into new people's hands.
And actually, people in the Facebook group came back and said, I used, your sheet on these measurements, and I made this recipe with things that we've never tried to ferment before. And the cool thing about vegetables, which you'll discover, is that you can actually ferment almost any vegetables. I've branched out. I fermented kale, which I'd never even heard of anyone doing.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And it was basically this fermented kale mash, and I put a bunch of hot peppers in it, like chili Chinese pepper flakes. It was amazing.
Yeah, I love those.
Just as a little garnish, it was strong.
Just one more example is that a student we had in, I think, the middle level of the course last year, because they were in the Facebook group, they posted that they'd recently, sometime way after the course, made fermented turnips. I've never done that, and they said they turned out great, and their husband couldn't get enough of them. So shout out to you if that was you and you're watching. So cool. Love seeing that. And thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about the course is that you can approach fermenting in several different ways. And honestly, like, I've never personally on my own instigated making any ferment with any measurements ever once. Never. Not one time. But a lot of people, from what I understand, like to measure things and like to weigh things. I have no interest.
Except for sauerkraut, I don't.
So actually, maybe I have. Maybe I've done like tablespoon or like 2 teaspoons of salt for brine, but nothing. I've never weighed anything. So my style is more salt by taste, and that's an option with most fermenting. And then people who really want to put the exact amount of salt and then experiment and modulate that up and down, they can do that. And we've got basically 3 ways to choose how much salt you put into your ferment, and it's all presented in the course. So.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us. Check out the link in the description. There's actually 2 links. One is for a free PDF, the best fermenting troubleshooting guide on the internet, and the other one, if you want to get more information about the course, both of those right below this video. So have a great day, and thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you soon.